Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today, we're going to take a look at a weird series of parallels that I noticed between the beginning of Chapter 70 of Kaiju Number 8 and some more stuff that happened way back at the beginning in Chapters 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So there will be spoilers through Chapter 70, so if you haven't read Chapter 70 of Kaiju Number 8, you can take this time to click below the video, find the links, and get a copy of my book, Humans Are Weird, Monty Python Meets Star Trek, and these short story collections of human absurdity. And for the month of October 2022, there will be a Indiegogo campaign for the third book in the series. Alrighty then. So, in the beginning of Chapter 70, there is a massive amount of time, space, and emotional energy dedicated to a wedding scene. Now, at first I thought that this was just Matsumoto following up on the themes from the previous chapter, showing that despite the fact that Kaiju Number 9 hasn't been dealt with, and despite the fact that the Kaiju haven't been defeated, and how do you defeat a natural process, that Kafka and Mina are still succeeding in their childhood promise. They promised to basically defeat the Kaiju to make the world a safer place for people to live, love, and play in. And this chapter opens in the middle of the Kaiju attack, because we know that because the Kaiju attack started the previous chapter. In the middle of the Kaiju attack, you have someone having a wedding, and we open up with the face of the father of the bride, and it goes through the wedding, then the Kaiju attack, and at first I was kind of reading it with the mentality, come on, that very touching scene, Matsumoto, now get us to the good part. And I was getting a little disappointed, and Matsumoto keeps doing this to me. I get disappointed thinking the chapter needs something, and then Matsumoto hands it over in fistfuls on the next page, because this part of the chapter was just Matsumoto setting up to make what he was going to give us that much more effective. But afterwards I went back and I reread the wedding scene, and again, and I started to notice more and more. First, we get a look at Toku, the father of the bride, and we get to see that Toku has been going through his own character growth arc. It's implied, or rather shown just in bits and pieces. He was kind of in the same place Kafka was at the beginning of the series, just a slacker, and he and Kafka were approximately the same rank, but it looked like Kafka had seniority on him. And when Kafka left the cleaners, Toku was the one who was in charge, specifically when Kaiju Number 9 was on the cleaner crew. So for the entire several weeks or several months that Kaiju Number 9 was laying low as the member of the cleaning crew, Toku was his supervisor. So there's a direct connection between Toku and Kaiju Number 9. And that occurred to me when I realized that the Kaiju who attacked Toku's daughter's wedding was acting very deliberately and in a way that was different from the other Kaiju. Because look, they're in a building high up off the ground. All the rest of the Kaiju are either running amok or chasing down crowds of people. But this Kaiju very deliberately comes up to the building. It doesn't just lunge into the building either. It looks into the building first. It spreads its hand against the glass and peers in through the glass window, looking and analyzing the situation. Then it rears its head back and slams its head forward into the building, breaking its way in. And then it continues to pound its way into the building, bypassing multiple people in order to get to Toku and his daughter. Now, it seemed to be going primarily after Toku's daughter. Now, I had a first thought, perhaps this was some sort of revenge on Kaiju Number 9's part. Perhaps Kaiju Number 9 is petty enough to take out his revenge on a human who had irritated them, and having a measly meatbag human over him in a position of authority and having to bend the knee and obey Toku might have been enough to leave a scar of irritation that was remembered by that Kaiju Number 9 body. And we know that Kaiju Number 9 body survived because it's the same Kaiju Number 9 body that ambushed Reno and Iharu, that battled Kaiju Number 8, and that then escaped by shooting at the two Defense Force members back at the end of the battle with the fungal Kaiju. So, this is entirely possible that this was some sort of petty act of revenge on Kaiju Number 9's part, that he sent off one of the lesser Hanjuryoju to go hunt down this pain in his neck that had been that had been bothering him. Kaiju number 9 does seem petty enough to do that, especially if he has plenty of kaiju doing other things. But there's another element. That kaiju was clearly operating with intent. Like I said, it put its little paws up on the glass, peered in through the glass with those big old eyes, and then went after Toku's daughter. But this being some sort of revenge plot by Kaiju number 9 was not the first idea that occurred to me. In fact, the first thing that occurred to me wasn't just an idea, it was a recognition of a commonality. Matsumoto is a brilliant artist. The creator of Dragon Ball Z, especially in his earlier work, was famous for not being able to differentiate the faces of adult women. All of his characters kind of look the same to start off with. This is something that many artists deal with. But Matsumoto is a skilled enough and experienced enough author that even background characters have distinct faces. Look at the wedding scene. Look at all of the faces there. Not one face is just a carbon copy of the other. Even though there's some that are similar, they're distinct, and that's just random background characters. All of these secondary characters have very distinct features. You're able to spot Toku even though he's lost a significant amount of weight. And more importantly, in the previous chapter, when the Brainalina, ballerina brain kaiju, showed up at that intersection, she looked exactly like Kikoru. And the fact that she looked exactly like Kikoru was not a coincidence. And I've done many speculation videos on that. But anyway, my point being that Matsumoto does not casually create commonalities in his art. Now, what am I getting at? My first thought, when I looked at the picture of the kaiju that was attacked Toku's daughter's wedding, it plunges its head through the glass, and it wasn't the first time I saw it. We saw it from a straight-on angle. It wasn't until I saw it on page 15 that it hit me. Look at the shape of the eyes. It has these big old eyes with the large black pupils and white irises. Now, this makes it look more human. There are very, very few animals that have the whites of their eyes that visible. In fact, with most mammals, the whites of the eyes being visible is a sign of panic. Now, those whites are probably more akin to the iris, but it definitely makes this guy have a much more human face. And look at the shape of the face, the angle of the snout as it closes. It does have and then it has these super sharp teeth, a distinct snout, and if you go back to the original image of it with its little paws, it definitely has hands, distinct hands, and you can see it's got distinctly, is that 3 or 4 fingers? It's hard to say. But even though these aren't fully articulated with opposable thumbs, it does look like it. Yeah, there it is. It's a 4-fingered hand. So look at the eyes, look at the hands. Doesn't this thing look familiar? 4 limbs, a tail, a snout, big, creepily innocent-looking baby eyes, acting weirdly, showing up, coming into a building and going after one person specifically. Where have we seen a kaiju displaying that kind of behavior before? Back in the hospital when Kafka was originally turned into Kaiju number 8. If you look back at that original scene, you see it's essentially the same artistic design, only smaller and with wings. You have the 4-fingered hands being held up so that we can see the palms as the little kaiju faces Kafka. You have those same round eyes with the black pupils in the center and the white edges sticking out of its head. You have those same razor-sharp cone-shaped teeth, the same tail, the same basic body morphology. The only difference between the little guy that started the whole Kaiju number 8 process and this big guy that nearly chomped Toku's daughter is size and wings. Otherwise, these are visually the same kind of kaiju. And in fact, if you look at the top of the kaiju's head, there is a distinctly different texture running down the head from between the eyes all the way down the back. So, what's going to happen next? Alright, well, that's my thought on Little Big Guy. What do you think? What do you make of this? What did you read behind these images? Leave a comment below telling me what you think. Hit that like and subscribe button. In October 2022, check out Indiegogo for my book, Humans Are Weird. Title to be announced on October 2nd. Peace out, my wonderful viewers. Humans are weird. We took a vote, and humans are weird. I have the data. 2 books in a series of human absurdity. Go check out these short story collections. What will our little green friends think of us when we finally do make it to space? Find out the answer in 2 books of human absurdity. Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, and Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Google Play.